Hi everybody. This screencast will continue our unit in value drawing, and specifically how to create implied line. Your essential questions for this video are, what's an implied line again? What is a hard and a soft edge? And finally, how do I create implied line? So, what's an implied line again? We went over that a couple of screencasts ago. The opposite of an implied line is a contour line. A contour line is an edge created using an abstract symbol, in this case a traditional line. Now the brain understands what it's looking at through the use of edges. And by creating an edge with a line, that is how we achieve contour line. Now lines do not exist in nature, and if a drawing is composed of contour lines, it would not be a value drawing. So that leads us to the implied line. An implied line is an edge that is created by putting a dark value beside a light value. Now, notice I said dark and light. I didn't say black and white. You could have dark gray next to black, and it would still work because it's a lighter value than the other. To draw realistically, to get as close to nature as possible, is to understand that lines do not exist in nature. There is simply changes in dark and light. And by doing that on our paper, then we will be closer to nature. To create implied line in your work is to think in the following pattern. Think light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, and so on. Let's take an example. This is a teddy bear still life that I did. The light is coming from the right of the teddy bear, and let's focus on this arm right here. The way I defined the outside edge of this arm was I put a dark thing beside it. Now what about the rest of the arm? Okay, light to dark, light to dark, light to dark. This part of the arm is light, and it gets progressively darker as it approaches the shade. Again, that matches the laws of light, because that shadow, that dark area, is now on the opposite side of the light. But wait, we have a dark area over here behind the arm, and so because of that we have now reflective light. This is the area of the room where the lighting in the room, not the lamp that was on the bear, but the room itself, was illuminating the back part of the bear. And that created a lighter area, okay? Light, dark, light, and then the dark behind it, the cast shadow of the bear. Dark, okay? There aren't any areas in there where dark is next to dark or light is next to light. What about when that shadow goes away and we just have the white of the background? Well, then that area becomes dark. Okay? We still have light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Okay? Okay, let's take a look at this student work here. There are two flower petals I want you to look at. This petal right here and the one in front of it. This part of the petal is light. All right? This part of the petal is light as well. We need a dark thing between the two so that we can see that edge. And it just so happens that because the light is coming from above, there will be a little bit of a shadow between the two. And so we put our shadow between both of those light areas and we see the edge now. So what is a hard edge and what's a soft edge and why does it matter? Light affects your value shapes. In this case, I break it into two techniques. A hard edge and a soft edge. A hard edge is an abrupt change in value, much like the left part of that value shape, where it goes from white into dark. Why do you do it? Well, that's used to define an edge. That's used to create implied line. That's used to create an edge that your brain can understand. If you have a drawing that's just a bunch of dark grays and light grays, you need a hard edge to help define a plane, in order to have an edge for your brain to make sense out of what you're looking at. Now a soft edge is a gradual change in value, meaning it'll go from dark to dark gray, lighter gray, white, and so on. It just smoothly transitions in a nice even blend. And that's used to define the inside of a form. A hard edge defines your edges, a soft edge fills in your forms. In order to help your viewer know that this guy has big muscles, that he has an elbow joint and that big forearm line that comes down, then we needed a hard edge on this value shape here to help define that. They put a light thing next to a dark thing, okay? And then in order to fill in the rest of the form to make it look 3D, they had a soft edge, meaning it goes from dark and has a nice soft edge fading into what? What is it fading into? Highlight. When your light hits something, it burns it out. And as that light weakens, it then gradually fades into a darker and darker and darker shade. So how is a hard edge used in this area? A hard edge was used to define the edge of this finger. How did they do it? They put a dark thing next to a light thing. They put the shadow of this finger next to the light surface of the other finger. And it's by switching between light and dark that you achieve that. You could not have a hard edge with two dark things next to each other. They would blend together. To create that implied line, you put a dark value shape next to a light value shape. And that is how this flower was made. And by knowing that pattern, the drawing turned out pretty dang cool. So you can do this too, as long as you learn the pattern. And this is the concept, the only advice I can give you to make it comfortable and so that you've mastered it is practice. That's really all you can do. Look at several different pictures, look at several different pieces, and you will see the same pattern under everything. Okay everybody, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go through drawing a couple of spheres just to walk you through the process that goes on when creating an implied line. So first things first, we need to pick our light source. Without our light source, we won't be able to know where our values are. Let's have it up and to the left over here. And so that means our light will be shining about this angle across our subject. If you studied the sphere already, you saw that each value was not a flat line. It matched the curve, it matched the contour of the form here. And so since our light is shining on top of this oval, my values are going to be more oval. So let's create implied line, and let's focus on this area right here. I want to know that this sphere is in front of this egg-shaped oval, all right? Now, which will I use to separate the two? Will I use a hard edge or a soft edge? You would use a hard edge because a hard edge is used to define an edge, to define a form. A soft edge is used to fill the form, okay? So here we go. As you can already see, the line is almost gone anyway. So by putting a dark thing behind this light thing, I made my line go away. By increasing your darkness, you do what's called increase the contrast. So by adding more and more layers of dark, I've just made this area lighter and lighter without actually touching it, okay? Increasing the contrast, that just means difference. That means your darks are darker, your lights are lighter. Once again, by adding your dark as you go, that gives you that control over your shading. As far as what I'm doing right now, most of this is just blending. I'm smoothing the values together using my pencil. That means however hard I pushed to get this dark value, and if I want to blend these two together, I just go in between how hard I pushed. And I just add a little lead and try to pull that value out a little bit, because I don't really like these hard edges in my values, you know. But you'll learn that in future screencasts. See that hard edge right there? Gotta fade that out. Okay, so now to create implied line between these two spheres, because it's getting muddled over here, the fact that this smaller one is obscured by the sphere in front of it, that means most of this sphere will be dark because it's getting in the way of the light. And that way, if I make the values here darker than they are here, that will help create implied line. Also, you can see that I just ignored a small little area here to create a nice little sliver of white for reflective light on this sphere as well. So let's do it. Okay guys, so I'm going to figure out where the cast shadow is going to be. Light's coming here, and so I'm just going to follow the line this way. Right about there. The good thing about cast shadows is that you can use the dark areas to really clean up the edges of your form. And now I'm just going to fade them out, because your cast shadow is not going to stay solid black. I use the reflective light to separate the dark sphere from this dark part of the sphere. I used the reflective light to separate this dark part of the sphere from the cast shadow. So I hope you found this helpful. Answer the questions at the end of the video, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Bye!